Okay. Looks like we're live. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me. I know this is, again, impromptu because I'm not really on a stream schedule. So I do apologize for that. But things have developed, of course, within the last 24 hours, last 48 hours that I thought would be interesting to kind of delve into a little bit here. So just bear with me here. I'm just adjusting some things here, and then we'll go ahead and get started on what I wanted to discuss with y'all. The other thing, this will be, I probably won't be on too long. I invited some others to join me, so hopefully they will. Hey, what's up? What's up, Jesus Ceros? Hopefully a couple others will join me. I sent out some invites to people, but I know everybody's kind of busy with their own streams. And this will probably be the only stream I do for this week because I'm actually heading out of town tomorrow, and I won't be back for about probably a week after that. So this is going to be the last thing that'll be up for a little bit here. But I figured we could talk a little bit from a different kind of perspective, like I've always tried to do. What's up, DBZ Central? What's up, Leo? How you guys doing? Thanks for being here. So the way I'm going to come at this from will be, hey, what's up, Patty Murphy? Hey, what's going on? See the wave? Oh, that's cool. That's cool, man. You do what you got to do. Got your first Sentai changer from Bokendra. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start here a little bit. The one thing I want to talk about, obviously, is what's going on with Kameha Con. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy surrounding that. Yeah, I got my haircut not too long ago. A little bit of controversy surrounding Kameha Con, of course, with the re-invitation of Vic Mignogna. And since then, there has been, I believe, up to 5 or 6 voice actors that have canceled their appearance. This was kind of to be expected, as we know, because there's people that have already decided to make their judgment on whether or not this man is guilty or innocent, which is fine. And people have, of course, stepped back, canceled their appearance at the show, whether they were a panelist or voice actor. Some people, I know there's some vendors out there that also want to cancel their appearance. My daughter can pronounce Jew Ranger accurately. That's good. That's good. So she pronounces it Jew Ranger, then I assume. But yeah, there's people that are backing out of the show. Of course, I think that the owner of the show knew to expect this. I had Emish on the line. He was here on the channel the other day, and he talked about that, how he has a close relationship with the promoter of Kameha Con. So he kind of knew to expect all this. He knew that there would be this kind of possible reaction from people, and knew that he would potentially lose business for making this kind of polarizing decision regarding his show. Right? Professionalism, what's that? Never heard of that. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the key things here that we're seeing. Now, I guess I'll go ahead and opine a little bit about the voice actors and stuff pulling out. I think there's something that they're missing. I get where they're coming from, and they have every right to how they feel on the situation. But I think there's something that a lot of them are missing when it comes to this situation, and it's the fact that I don't think they're seeing it from a broader perspective when it comes down to the fans themselves. These voice actors, whether it be Ms. Rael, whoever else that has been canceling their appearances, I don't think they're thinking about the vocal minority of people that are upset about this, instead of looking at the bigger picture and saying, well, you know what, let me just go for the fans that actually do want to see me and that are going to pay to see me there. Let me go for them and not disappoint them, because I had already committed to go to see them, to be there for them. And that's not really something I think that they're looking at. They're just kind of more concerned about, well, I want to do what's right. Well, I think doing what's right would also be staying and fulfilling your obligation to the fans. You signed a contract. Man, forget those whack voice actors. Mexican Goku and Vegeta will be there. Right? There you go. It's all, just go for them. I mean, they claim to be fans themselves, so I don't know. I'd like to imagine they'd have an idea. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. At one point in time, Of course, exactly. These were people that were fans themselves. OG Goku will be there as well. Yeah, what is his name? Peter Calamus, I think is his name. But exactly that. They were fans themselves at one point. So they should know. Oh, Tug Raid, what's up? What's up, people? Thanks for joining. Hey, just a big fan of Power Rangers and Toku, as you might as well guess from my name. Awesome. Glad to have you on. These were people that were once fans themselves, so they should be able to at least see it from that point of view too. They should be able to see that, hey, by us not appearing, we're going to disappoint the people that already paid for their tickets and maybe had one of the primary reasons they were coming was to see me. I'm sure that there's people, as crazy as it might sound, I'm sure that there's people that specifically wanted to go to this convention to go see Monica Royale, and she's pulling out now. And that's crazy, but forget about her, forget about people like her. Let me just go ahead and do what I think is right. So I think that's one of the things they're missing. And again, I don't begrudge them for it. I understand it. I understand to a certain degree, but I think one thing doesn't outweigh the other so much. Oh, we got some. Oh, Tug, what's up, buddy?
Hey there. What's up, man? I thought I'd drop by for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Awesome, man. I appreciate.
Hey, no problem, man. You put on a good show. I just, you know how days get, man. They get crazy sometimes.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And I get it. And I know that you have your commitments with your, family and stuff. So that should always come first. So
I always do usually I do a live stream just to blow off steam too. It lets me kind of get these people, we look at horrible people every day, and it kind of lets me like get them out of my head. So usually I just do that. And it reminds me when I deal with the community and I talk to them, it makes me feel better about all this stuff.
No, exactly. We need an outlet for this stuff. And the thing is, what I wanted to kind of, because I know Rakeda is going to go on later and he's going to kind of talk about one of the contracts that he was able to get a hold of. Mm-hmm. But what I was wanting to try to do is just kind of like, so that people understand some of the different kind of contracts that are part of conventions, whether it be a vendor contract, a guest contract, or whatever other contract, because there's, for like guest contracts, for example, there's a couple different ways that guests get booked for a show. It's either because their booking agency books them, they book themselves, or the convention obviously reaches out to them, because sometimes some guests will actually go to conventions and say, hey, I want to do your show. That happens too. So it's not always the show reaching out to a particular guest. Sometimes it's the guests themselves. They're like, hey, look, that kind of falls in line with what I do. I have X amount of fans, and I do, this is my body of work. Maybe I could do your show. That happens too. So I thought it would be fun to talk about some of those different kind of contracts that fans, or I should say guests, sign in order to do shows.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I've never really explored contracts before. So I find that to be an interesting topic with all of this stuff,
Yeah, well, one of the things like I'll give you the ones that I commonly have seen myself firsthand is, all right, there's an appearance fee contract, which is, basic. That's one of the ones that more or less pertains to voice actors in a lot of cases when they're maybe doing shows outside of anime conventions, but not always necessarily. There's what's called the appearance fee contract, where basically a set fee is agreed upon prior to their appearance. And then there's what's called a signing guarantee, which is what that pertains. That's a little bit more intricate, because that pertains like pictures and autograph signings and things like that. And the way that works is for like a signing guarantee, what that means is at the guest table, they're charging for their autograph, they're charging for their picture, and they might also be entitled to receive, say, money from the photo ops that the convention sets up, maybe a percentage of that. Whereas an appearance fee, they're just showing up for that flat amount and that's it. And they could take pictures for free and, with the fans, or they can, sign their autograph for free, but they're basically getting one flat amount on top of having their flight and hotel paid for. So in the case of Kameha Con, from me looking at their website, I'm pretty sure most, if not all, those actors are coming on a guarantee, which means you're guaranteed to make this amount of money by selling your autograph, by selling your pictures, by selling your merchandise. And if you don't make that guaranteed amount at our show, what we'll do is we'll pay the difference of what you didn't make, or we'll pay the whole amount if for whatever reason they don't make any money the entire weekend. So let's say Majin Buu goes and he doesn't make a dime that weekend and he's on a guarantee. the convention has agreed to pay him out a set amount for him not making that on his own. So that's how those work. So that'll be interesting to see like how it works with that guy, because I don't think he's winning himself any good faith online.
I was wondering, like, hey, when I saw this, actually somebody sent me something as well with pertaining to a contract, but I tried to avoid the particulars of that specific thing because I know that's what Rekida's building on all night. So try not to step on his toes on any particulars with stuff. But I did find it fascinating, like I said, to look at this, because people right off the bat were bringing up, well, cancellations. It says on the website that you can have cancellations. So I was like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean anything as with regard to the person that's showing up as a guest there. It's actually talking about it. If you and I buy a ticket and somebody doesn't show up, well, they're not liable. They don't owe you your money back because you say you bought to see Monica and she didn't show up.
Yeah, the one thing is a lot of the way that most conventions cover their butts with that is obviously by saying card subject to change, because it can, because due to any kind of situation, like in the case, what's interesting about their case is that unfortunately in most of those contracts, and I say this again as somebody who's actually seen these contracts, moral posturing is not a stipulation. It's not a way for you to back out of a contract. Most of those contracts, you have to give notice within a set amount of time if you're not going to appear at that show, whether it be 90 days or 60 days. I mean, some cons are even more generous than that. Some cons will allow you to back out within 30 days notice, but usually standard is about 90 days. And the reason for that is because they have to have time to not only potentially replace you, but also so they have enough time to change any kind of promotional material leading up to the show, whether it be the website, flyers, or whatever. So they want to have enough time in between to be like, okay, well, let's see if we can replace this guest with somebody else that might create either more of a buzz or the same kind of enthusiasm that they did. So they want to have that time in between to be able to market that. But a lot of times, in these situations like this, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, because she's literally just a couple weeks out is saying she's not going to be there. The other thing too that would be interesting is if there's a clause in her contract, because I've seen this in other contracts too, where not just a non-compete, but there's also a clause within certain contracts that will not allow you to promote an appearance at another event close to the event that you were contracted to do, unless you're going to promote that appearance after the fact. So if that was in her contract, it'll be interesting to see like how she's going to try to promote this event, because by contract, she wouldn't be able to promote it until after Kameha Con concludes.
Yeah, when I saw her talking about them getting together and seeing other guests at other places doing stuff like this and that, I kept thinking, that's a problem right there. There have actually been a few voice actors that have said stuff like that. Well, we can get together somewhere and meet up if you've come down here to see me. And I thought that's a real problem, because again, that's a conflict. You are advertising going out and meeting up with people, whether it's free or not. You're still going out and you're still advertising some kind of conflict.
Yep. And that's the thing. If they have anything like that in that contract, then it's going to be interesting to see how they pull that off, because they would have to kind of, the best way for them to do it at that point would be for them to try to like hint around. He's like, we could potentially be around here, or they'll probably maybe start some kind of Easter egg hunt to see if people can pick up clues to figure out where they're at. But promoting it online or any other way, if that was in the contract, they're not going to be able to do that. So, but hey, with them, it wouldn't surprise me if they did it anyways, man, because it seems like they don't seem to care about any kind of legal recourse. So.
Holy crap, dude, I have just stepped onto something that is insane. I have to thank Zephyr Warrior for this, but this is freaking crazy. Sarah...
You want me to share screen? You want me to share?
Do what? Sorry, go ahead.
You want me to share your screen?
Give me 1 second. Let me connect this shot, because this will be worth it. Just if anybody, it'll take me 1 second because I got to folder it. I don't want you to have to
Yeah.
stare at the way. I want to pull them both up, and I want to make sure that if it disappears after I talk about it, that it's saved. I always I find these people fascinating. What skeletons are out in their closets, and especially since they're talking about Vic, or what's out there in their family's closets. And this particular voice actor, or actress, I'm sorry, that was talking about dropping a certain con that came up. Give me 1 second, I'll have it ready. And
all right,
shoot, I was trying to get the drop Vic one too. There it is. All right, I got you here.
All right, let me.
Yeah, if you want to.
Let me share yours. Let me share yours. Hold on, I got it. How do I? How do I?
Let me see.
I'm trying to try.
Right.
How do I share your screen? Should I say that I don't use Hangouts nearly as much as I should?
Actually, the Hangout has changed anyway. They've been doing something to it, and it's been changing up a lot of. There's the application window. You'll see mine come on there. Bam. You should have a share over on the side. It's on the left side. There should be a.
Okay, I see it. Yeah, sure.
You can lock on mine. If you click on my image after you share screen, it should lock onto me.
Okay. All right, I'm trying to lock onto you. Hold on. Am I locked onto you? Hold on.
I don't have you pulled up, so I'm looking
so.
at my own screen. That's my problem. You can ask the chat. The chat should be able to. If you have I don't know if you have the chat pulled up though.
Hold on, I'm trying to. Let's see.
I'll have to look. Hold on. Give me 1 minute.
Well,
the stuff with her is particularly interesting here. I just found it now. There we go. Give me 1 second. I'll see.
Okay, is it on yours? I think.
No, it's still on you.
That's weird. All right, hold on. All right, I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to lock onto you there. I think I'm on you now. Hold on. I think I'm on you.
Yeah, boomers. I know. Actually, they changed up the Google Hangout setup too. It's acting up. There's the Sarah Windenheft, or Weidenheft. I'm not sure how the hell to pronounce her name. It doesn't. Yeah. I don't even know why these people matter.
Yeah, I think I'm on you. Is it on you now?
I'm not.
Oh no, it's still on me. Damn. All right. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. I'm a nub with this. Let me try to.
No, let me try. Yeah, you had it on me there for a second too. I'm resetting because it's this thing is so lovely there. So that should screen share now. I think you're good to go. I think that's sharing now.
Okay.
I think you got it there. If not, then people can listen. I'll read it to you anyway. So Sarah, I'm going to call her Weidenheft just because it sounds good. I was laughing at a tweet that she put out earlier, which I'm going to read because it just makes me laugh. But then afterwards, I want to do a follow-up that someone gave me. So, so she was going on about her due to unseen circumstances. She, I regret to announce that I have to withdraw my appearance at the con. I've been calling it the con because it's the only one I'm talking about right now. I apologize to any attendees this may affect. Please look forward to any future events. She goes on, and then she, of course, makes this statement, which is beautiful. I couldn't even believe I saw this. So I've been laughing at this all day. So literally, if you asked me to prove that an ex of mine 10 years ago consistently broke my trust by telling me to close my eyes so he could show me a quote unquote magic trick, which ended up being code for quote, put my D in my hand, unquote, I couldn't. So I guess even this event didn't happen. I was like, okay, yeah, that's weird. But then she has just, let me see. So apparently, these people are all marauding against Vic. Well, apparently there's a thing about her brother. There was a comment that was apparently deleted from before, but you can see part of the comment chain here. Someone asks, oh man, my questions are, did he know what was on the hard drive? Because apparently on the computer hard drive of her brother was child porn, from what I'm understanding. Again, allegedly. I don't know how this went, but and didn't bother to report it, or did he not bother having wiped it first? Either way, hope and pray everything. So she says, unfortunately, even if you delete something, it'll remain on your hard drive. The police have already seen it was on computer. He also will not talk to the police for obvious reasons. So he got in trouble with the law because he had child porn on his computer. But okay, I'm gonna play a weird game here. I'm gonna say that I'm not supposed to believe the police. I'm not supposed to believe everything someone says about someone, right? So why does that work for her brother, but it doesn't work for Vic Mignogna?
Exactly. Gotta love that sweet, sweet, sweet double standard, huh?
Oh man, this is ugly. Oh, smell a video. Man, I smell that. Thanks to Zephyr Warrior too for pointing that out. That is some crazy. This conversation continues to go on as well. I mean, it is nuts. And this came from February. This isn't some ancient discussion. This came from February. So right now, during the marauding against Vic, you have the same kind of crap being discussed.
Quality people, man. Quality people.
Yeah, very much so. Well, you know, Amanda Winley is going out today and telling people to kill themselves.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was just like, oh my gosh, that lady, you know, I've seen some of the stuff she says. I'm like, wow, man. It's just like, she's just like a very bitter person. It's just like, but I guess that happens. I mean, the older you get, the more irrelevant you get. You just got to lash out a bit more. Like that's going to make a difference. I guess that she thinks that's going to make a difference. You know, her being edgy and cool, I guess. I don't know. It's shameful, man. And the thing is people are crazy, man.
Yeah. It's a nut subject. I'm going to make a video on that too. Some people were asking like, what is that? Basically, a voice actor though, if you didn't follow that, a voice actor who has dropped, everyone's favorite con right now, one that, you know, is dropping because of course Vic is involved in it. They want us to believe that their brother, who was apparently arrested for having, something horrible on his computer. Yeah. You know, they deleted the first comment chain. So we're just going to go with something horrible, but you can fill in the blanks. You know what the police would arrest you for having on your computer. There's the same people that want you to believe that they weren't guilty. Also want you to believe that, you know, Vic Mignogna, you shouldn't listen to that guy.
Yeah, it wasn't her brother's. It couldn't have been. You know,
it was on the computer. Apparently, the way I understand the commentary on that thread was he supposedly went out and was piecing a computer together and got an old hard drive and didn't wipe it correctly. I guess that was, you know.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. That's, you know. No, it wasn't me. It was the hillbilly that I bought the computer from.
Well, you know, and due process. Hey, you know, your brother deserves due process, just like, you know, the guy that only has accusations against him and nothing else. They didn't find a computer stuffed full of weird porn or anything.
Oh, God, man, these people is.
I called them. I also called today. I've been kind of busy on this stuff. I try to work it in while if I have a break or something, but I called the Williamson County Sheriff's office for, you know, it's in Texas. That's where Samantha Hart's swatting occurred. So I called them because I'm particularly annoyed by the idea that, you know, she gave us a phone number, which she's been giving to the police apparently. And that was a robocaller. It was only operational on the 18th and the 19th. And it was a health insurance scamming number. So it wasn't some random dude that called her and said, I'm going to kill you. It was somebody probably calling her to try to, you know, fake insurance to her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we looked it up on live stream.
Well, remember when she put out her story again, her other follow-up story about, which I was just like, I think, Flash, I was talking to Flash about it. I remember I sent it to him when I saw it, it wasn't me. It was my harasser. I'm just like, right. You know, sure. I mean, it's just like, why should anybody believe you now? This is only what, the third time your story has changed. Sure. Sounds legit, you know, and it didn't sound any better. And not only that, like Emish had pointed out, she basically discredited the previous story to that one. So,
I like how it keeps changing up. It's so beautiful, man. It's so beautiful.
Was it you that said it was fan fiction? Somebody said that it was that it was like bad fan fiction. that read like fan fiction, her latest one that she did, because she she just painted this like this narrative with it. Oh man, it was just you know, they just can't get it right, man.
Well,
Every
it's
single
because
time.
they're not thinkers. They're too dumb to play this game. Don't lie if you're too dumb to lie. Come on.
Yeah.
You
Of
know?
course, the thing is, looking at the whole thing with the convention, I had mentioned, I think before you came on the stream, it's funny how, again, all these people, they want to say, well, I think I'm doing what's right by backing out. But if you really wanted to do the right thing, why not just go and be there for the people that actually want to see you? Why? There's a lot more of them than there are of the ones that aren't going to go, I think. So why not be there for them? But
I see. It's a weird. I don't. This is a weird place because I can kind of understand what they're trying to say there. The problem is that they gained a lot of money off of the fandom that support. All the fandom asks from you is don't treat me like garbage and don't misuse me. I love your product and I love you because you put a voice on it. That's all. Like, be nice to me. That's all they want. So my problem in all of this is that they misled the public. They said they were going to do something. Some people have spent, a tidy sum to get there. So regardless of what these folks are saying did or didn't happen, I mean, come on, what's up?
Yeah. Well, the thing is also, and I remember me and Emish talked about this too when Lucas was on. There's a win-win for her there though too, because the whole moral posturing that she's doing. It's just like, that she's taking this righteous stand because, because of her convictions, her beliefs, can't have this. We can't have this, this happen. I'm afraid for my safety, but really the message she's trying to give off is that, no, I'm standing against injustice. I'm standing against this person that is a reputed sexual offender. It's ridiculous, man. But people are buying it hook, line, and sinker. And then you have the other people that are screeching online, right? Now some of the panelists, which again, just for y'all that don't know, panelists are not invited guests. I mean, some of them can be, like some YouTubers can be. There have been YouTubers that get big enough, like for example, like Black Nerd Comedy. He gets booked for shows. Like they pay for his flight, his hotel, and all that, and he'll get booked for a show for a weekend. But some of these ones that were probably going to Kameha Con, I'm pretty sure that they were going to go on their own dollar. You know what I mean? They were going to go on their own money, unless, like I said, they were a huge channel that would benefit ticket sales. Kameha Con didn't pay for them to be there. So them being panelists is basically them kind of volunteering for the show to add something to the show. And usually what happens with panelists, they will get a weekend pass because they are contributing something to the show. So basically it's like, all right, we'll promote you being at the show, but we're not going to pay for you to really be there. We'll give you a free pass for the show though, and we'll promote your appearance at the show and say that, hey, you're going to have panels at the show, and that's it. So like I said, unless they're like a big channel, that's really all it is with them. So the ones that are dropping out, that's fine, because there's plenty of other people that are going to be more than willing to replace them, even on short notice. So the panelists leaving, that's not a big deal. Some of the vendors, what I find interesting about that is they're saying, oh, I want to pull out now, this, that, or the other. But in the contracts, and I'll bring that up here real quick because I'll be able to screen share that. This is actually from, and credit to Emish for sending me this, because Emish is one that got, he's in tight pretty much with these people. But this is something that you can get off of their.
Hey, I found the articles on this actually.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Shit.
Okay.
The child porn thing. I found an article about it. Oh man,
breaking news.
Oh, this is crazy. This is definitely crazy. So yeah, this was actually covered out there as well. This isn't some random thing. It was indeed Miss Kobayashi, Dragon Maid dub. So that's the Dragon Maid dub's voice actor. Brother faces child porn charges. And the family set up a GoFundMe for that.
And she was the one that was is that the one, what was her name? The one you covered on your channel, right?
Yeah.
During your live stream?
That was the same one with all those it's somebody that's dropping out of Vic's stuff, but again, they set up a fundraiser, and the fundraiser, it's raised $470.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what a mess. Yeah. That's
I mean,
that's gonna be my video tomorrow, I think. I think I'm gonna bring up the hypocrisy to all of this standard.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, again, I'm not saying her brother is guilty either. You know, that's
Yeah, no, of course.
it's a very easy thing. It's very easy. Edwin Boyette, you know, if anybody they do or don't know him, he's a very good guy, and he always points out something, you know, that always stuck with me. He says that it's easy to stand with your friends. You know, you have beliefs, but those beliefs, they're paper tigers when they're untested. If you want to truly test those beliefs, then when somebody's been out there, you know, spitting in your face as of sorts, giving them the same thing, giving them the due process benefit of the doubt, then it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I follow Edwin's stuff. Definitely have been for a while, actually, like all you guys, like you Flash.
Yeah.
And
I figured
for months.
audience wise, they may not know him. You know, some people may not, because you know, it's a crossover item.
Oh, absolutely. Let me share this real quick, though, so everyone can see here what I'm talking about. But can you guys see it on the screen there? The cancellation policy.
Hey, man, I'm going to have to jump out, though. I got to take care of the little one and put her in bed again. But I wanted to pop in and show you a little bit of support, man. You know?
No doubt, man. That's fine. I appreciate you popping on, even if it was for just a little bit, man.
Yeah, you'll have to come on one day with me, and you'll have to put on a panel here. You know, I think having people on, I think that's great, man. I'm glad to see, you know, you've done some great things. So, like I said, I want to give you props there. You're also, you know, been very inviting to everybody as they've talked about this. You know, it's been good. So I want to give you props for it.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, definitely. I'm down for whenever. I work from home, so you know, I could kind of make my schedule. So yeah, just let me know.
All right, man. All right, thanks for having me on.
All right, brother. Thanks for being on, bro. All right, so let's take a look at this right here. If you guys can see it here on screen, you guys got this? Can everybody see the policy? Just type a 1 for yes or 2 for no if you guys can see it, because this thing is being kind of weird with me. All right, you guys can see it. Okay, good. All right, so we'll go over this real quick because this is something that I wanted to talk about, and that is the policy that they have here for cancellations. Now, this is for vendors. And this is one thing that I'm seeing a lot of people online kind of, you know, going on a tangent about when it comes to them not wanting to be a part of the show anymore for whatever reason, for their moral posturing reasons. You know, this is the cancellation policy, and this is directly from Kameha Con themselves. This is something, again, like I said, shout out to Emish from Emish's Live for sending me this. And I'm sure this is something that Emish himself will talk about at some point in time. I know he had mentioned it. So shout out to him for sending me this. So we'll go over this cancellation policy. As you can see here, in the event exhibitor seeks to cancel the license or withdraw from the exhibition, exhibitor may only do so by giving written notice to Silverfire LLC by certified mail, return receipt request. The date of cancellation, withdrawal, or downsizing space applicable shall be the postmark date on the notice. Cancellation 90 days or more before the date of the exhibition entitles you to a refund amounting to 50% of your total payment. Cancellation within 90 days or less of the date of exhibition, your entire payment is forfeited and no refund shall be due. Now, I'll tell you right now, as somebody who has gone as a vendor to a bunch of different shows, okay, this cancellation policy right here is very generous. And I think if he's still in the chat, Sticker Dork, if he's still in the chat, he could attest to that as well. That this is something that, honestly, there's some conventions that will not even give you 90 days. There's some conventions that once you pay, I mean, depending on their size, and it's different per convention, depending on their size, they will not allow you to get a refund, period. And that's what you're basically signing up for. They will outline that in the contract. They'll say, hey, listen, once you pay this money, you're not getting it back, no matter what. And they will put that in a contract. and vendors will gladly sign those contracts. Yep, like you're saying, my dears. Yep, they are locked in for that time frame. So all these people that are online right now screeching about the fact that they want a refund and they're not getting it back from Kameha Con, they really have no case, because this is what they signed up for. They signed up for this. When they signed on the dotted line, that's it. And even if they feel, well, this was deceptive because they went ahead and they invited back a guest that I didn't anticipate being there, that does not matter, because at every convention, this is another thing that they're missing out on. And this is something that has been a rule of event running. I mean, if you go to WWE events, whether you go to WWE, whether you go to a concert, whether you go to a convention, the one rule that always remains is card is subject to change. That means that the guest list or certain events are always subject to change. And when you sign these contracts, that's what you're signing up for, whether you want it or not. There is no moral posturing out clause on these contracts. Once you're locked in, once you've committed, you're committed. That's it. There's no backing out. Unless you want to lose money, which I'm pretty sure there's going to be people that, because of the fact that they feel so strongly about this, will probably end up backing out. Of Nick actually has managed to get a hold, I believe, of an actual contract for one of these shows. Now, let me specify this. Nick did not say that he got a contract. Can you guys hear me? Somebody's saying audio. Can you guys hear me okay? Hold on. Are you guys able to hear me? Okay. All right, cool. Mind yours, man. You need to team up with Nick tonight. If Nick wants me on, I mean, I'm down to go on. I actually invited Nick on to this stream, but I know he's very busy. Me and Nick have been talking for a while. So if you guys tell him, you know, if he wants to have me on, I'm down to come on. But I know he's going to be talking about the contract that he got a hold of, which, again, I will stress again, is not a Kameha Con contract. All Nick has said is that he managed to get a hold of a convention contract, not Kameha Con convention contract. So what I'm talking about here is just kind of all the ins and outs, the different types of contracts that there are regarding conventions. For one, like I said, like I explained to Tug earlier, one of the contracts that people come on is what's called a guarantee, which I'll just, for those of you that are joining late here, I'll go ahead and repeat it real quick, and then I'll tell you guys a little bit about the appearance fee. There's a bunch of different kind of contracts that a guest could come under, but one of them is called an appearance fee. So basically what an appearance fee is, it's one flat fee that guest is coming for. So that usually includes their flight, their hotel, and a set fee for the weekend. Sometimes that'll also include what's called per diem, which is a set amount that they're given per day of the show for their meals. But sometimes shows will provide, or they will cater food at their shows so that they don't have to pay per diem to guests. They'll let them know, like, hey, food will be provided at the venue for you in the green room or wherever it is that they're, or in the cafeteria area for you, or you'll get some kind of meal voucher or whatever those terms are that they agree to. With what's called a guarantee, is a guest decides that they want to go ahead and bring their own merchandise, or they will charge for their pictures, their autographs. And what the agreement is between them and the promoter is, the promoter tells them, okay, well, you're guaranteed to make X amount of money at our show. So let's say a guarantee is, a lot of people have been throwing around $15,000. Let's say that's the guarantee. So what that is you're guaranteed to make this much at my show by selling your own goods and merchandise, your autograph, your pictures. And if you don't make that amount or over that by the end of the show, I agree to pay you the difference of that amount. If you don't make any money throughout the course of the weekend, then they agree to pay you the full amount. That's how that works. Another way that guests come into shows is through a booking contract, a booking agent contract. And this is something that's a little bit more depending. This is where profile plays into a guest coming to a show. So if a guest is really famous, they might be given a contract from a convention, but they say, nah. I'm not coming under any of these terms. I'm going to come under my terms. So what they do is they usually go through a booking agency. Again, this is usually higher profile guests. This happens sometimes too. Not all the time, but this happens too, where they will get a booking agency, and the booking agency dictates the terms of the appearance. They say, this is our contract, and this is what we require in order for us to do your show. So that's another form under which a guest could come to a show, is through a booking agent contract. And those usually tend to be the most lucrative for higher profile guests. If a guest is really in demand, that's usually the route that they go. But of course, with that, they have to, there's an amount, the percentage amount that they give to their booking agent and whatnot. And of course, all these different type of contracts, they could get money from photo ops and some other events that they might also be a part of. Like in the case of Kameha Con for Chris Sabat, right? He's doing that little kind of VIP event. That will probably go into his guarantee. Whatever he makes off of that event, that little VIP event that he has, that Vegeta VIP event, that will probably go into his guarantee for his appearance. That's generous. How are they responsible if you don't make money? Well, you got to remember, mind yours, when it comes to a guest, it really depends on their popularity. It depends on really their goodwill with the fans. I mean, if they're really good with the fans, in a way, it's kind of like being a salesman. If fans really, really like you, they're going to pay to take that picture with you. They're going to pay to take that autograph with you. But if for whatever reason that doesn't happen, you're not able to hit that kind of goal for the weekend, that's where the convention promoters are kind of putting themselves on the line and saying, well, you know what, we got you. So now in the event of vendors, like I said before, the ones that are out there crying that they're not going to get a refund back, it was in the contract. That's what they agreed to. So, but why reimburse you if you flopped? Well, because again, it's about goodwill. They want to maintain good relationships with these guests, and they want to. Sometimes here's the truth of the matter. Sometimes a guest can be well liked, and sometimes that goes a long way with convention promoters. Convention promoters will say, well, you know what? We like you, and we want you to come back to the show next year. They don't necessarily draw money for that promoter, but because of the fact that they have such goodwill with the fans, they're popular among fans, a promoter might just go ahead and book them again for appearing. Usually in situations like that, though, they appear for a lot less than other actors. So it just depends. And sometimes it has to do just with the economy. I mean, sometimes, especially nowadays with the convention scene being so saturated, and it depends on a couple of things. It depends on what other events that particular guest has done around that area, or close to that area. What their demand, like if they're in demand, like Vic right now he's very high in demand, right? Because he's not doing shows as consecutively as he was before, because he had majority of those bookings canceled. So now he's in very high demand. So now it's like, if you were in a city that was close to Vic that had a convention and that was canceled, you might have to wait several more months before he comes back around to your area, or you might have to wait a while before he's in another area close to you. So now his demand is up. So now he's worth a little bit more. That's kind of how it works. So they're literally renting you out. Yeah, they are. That's kind of what it is. That's what it kind of boils down to. It's the same thing with vendors. You're there to kind of, with the difference between vendors and guests is that guests have to sell their self for the entire weekend, whereas vendors have to sell product. So it's the fact that they have to have goodwill with the fans in order for the fans to support them. And with all these things coming out about them that are being made public, that's probably going to lose them a lot of goodwill with fans. So we'll see what happens. That profit comes from the fans showing up, spending money with the other vendors. Exactly. It's all that's part of the ecosystem, right? That's how everybody kind of benefits. And the thing is, obviously, if you have a strong guest list, you have more. Here's the key thing. I've always said this with conventions. If you give one person one reason to come to your show, but give them several reasons to stay, they're going to stay. They're going to spend money. They're going to spend their time. And they'll do it because, of course, they want to support they want to support the people they like, and they realize, you know what, I like this place. I want this place to continue to flourish. I want to come back here at some point in time. So you know what? Take my money. That's just how it happens. All right, so I'll open up to questions for anybody that has questions here. If y'all have any questions regarding conventions and so forth, but that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of these guests, they don't do themselves any favors by taking this moral posturing stance where, at the end of the day, look, the one color that never discriminates, no matter what, is green. So, yeah, exactly. Amber Terry, yeah. Exactly. But of course, with that comes the fact that now, again, he's more of a rare commodity. What are your thoughts on Shane Holmberg? I don't begrudge the guy. I find him to be an interesting individual. He seems to me. I don't know what his end game is with everything, because he talks publicly about how he wants to help Vic, but at the same time he wants, there's a little bit of hypocrisy going on there, isn't there? Because he says he wants to help Vic, but he wants Vic to admit to all this wrongdoing. And it's like, well, I mean, you're his friend. Shouldn't you support him? I mean, good, bad, or ugly. I mean, he says he wants him to get help. He wants to support his appearance, but then he talks about his victims. It's weird, man. I don't know. I don't know what to think of that guy. He's an interesting individual. He, on one hand, it's just like, I don't know what his end game is. All right, so using the sort of case, I would look into the panels that sold well and just hire more of those instead. It's just more profitable. Well, a panel, right? A panel could be a pretty good indication. It could be a pretty good barometer for you to gauge the popularity of a fan, or not of a fan, I should say, of a guest, on how he fills the house, so to speak. And that right there is a good barometer to their popularity, for sure. But it's not always the deciding factor, because after a while, look, what happens is when a guest has been around a lot, especially in a particular area, he becomes diluted. So he draws less and less and less. But at the same time, though, that's where an appearance fee can be useful, because one flat fee, they don't have to worry about anything. If they agree to a certain amount that they're coming to no matter what, they get that money and they're good. They're golden. Just think, all right, let's see. Disappointed that the actor's trying to find the fan base. Yeah, man, it's horrible. Yeah, I agree with you, Mind Yours. Yeah, I believe Shane is playing both sides of the field. I think what he's doing, honestly, is he's just waiting. He's just kind of lying in wait to see who the winner is going to be when the dust is settled. And that's kind of a shady move. Because it's like, and it's not a thing. You could be neutral on a situation. That's fine if people are neutral and they're undecided. But usually people that are neutral and undecided, usually they don't get as involved as he has been. And that's the strange part about it. It's just like he'll say this, that, or the other, and then he'll do something completely opposite. It's a strange guy. This will come back to them and bite them. Yeah, I agree, Charizard Ranger. So got man one punched. Yeah, Bowsette, you're right. You're right. I think that's what it is. He's wearing another mask. He wears two different masks. But the thing is, most people can see how transparent he is. So, Banners, did you say that Marchie's brother was being investigated? No, that was Umbrella Guy. Umbrella Guy was saying that I don't think it was Marchie's brother. I think it was the other voice actor that he mentioned, that her brother, I believe, was being investigated or was investigated for having a CP on a computer that he claims. And again, he's like Tug said, Tug wasn't saying that it wasn't saying anything bad, that it's true or not. The guy deserves due process. The guy does deserve, his fair shake. But he was just, the reason he was pointing that out is just kind of the double standards of these voice actors. Also, there's one person that draws a crowd at the panel. There's the panel, but exactly. Cute nerd, you're exactly right. Like I said, it's a nice little ecosystem. Once you have a very popular guest coming to your show, it's going to benefit every other guest on that show because of trickle down. The guest, like even who's the one that's out there? I think the Majin Buu guy, he's the one that's out there kind of chirping, saying his piece or whatever. A guy like that, nobody would care about otherwise, but because he's in a place where that's where the fandom is, he stands to benefit. The bigger that I should say, let me put it like this. The more heavy hitters there are at that show, the more it's going to benefit him in the long run as well. So having a guy like Vic, despite whether or not he agrees with him or not, is going to benefit him. It's going to trickle down to him, especially to the people that might not know about the situation at all, that they're just there for Dragon Ball and have no idea about any of this drama. Even a guy like that is going to benefit from Vic being there. All of them are going to benefit from Vic being there. Hey, what's up, Ram Jam? How's it going? Amanda's brother said Bowsette. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Mind yours. And that's the thing about it. I think Shane is just kind of lying in wait. He's that guy who, he's the guy that he reminds me of the lackey of the school bully that you see in movies. And then once the school bully gets beat up by the new kid, then he wants to be the new kid's friend. That's what he reminds me of. Josh Martin, his name. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm trying to keep up with what you guys are saying here. So sorry. Did you read up where Jamie said that she had no one come forward? But if that's the case, how are they getting these crazy numbers of accusers if they have no one to pull from? Well, I mean, it's the whole idea of dogpiling. That's all it is. It's this idea that, you know what? There's an opportunity here. I'm a victim too. And the thing is, people use this mindset. And look, I'm not saying, let me make it clear. However, these people that are accusing him want to feel about the situation, if it made them uncomfortable, that's fine. Nobody's telling them that they can't feel uncomfortable about what happened. That's fine. But they can't get upset with people for saying, well, you know what? I believe in evidence. I believe in truth. You know what I mean? They can't, that their claims are going to be scrutinized, especially given all the time that's passed. What would they expect? Later, Fire Drake Burst, thanks for joining. It is what it is. See, everyone deserves due process. Even if you hate the person, it's very important protocol with it. Yeah, exactly. Sunbringer, you're absolutely right. Did you read it? Let me see. Hold on. Let's see where. So it said, because of the statute. Mind yours. I want to set precedence by saying it happened 5 to 10 years before, but screwed themselves because of statute of limitations. Look, if you really want justice for somebody, you have to try to get it when it's happening. I mean, you can't wait. I mean, if that's something you really care about, if it's something that really matters to you, you need to try to get a record of it on file as soon as possible. You need to be able to create, look, because here's the thing. Let's be completely clear here. We would be having a completely different discussion right now had this been documented 5 or 10 years ago. If there was a documented history of this, then we'd be able to look at it with a little bit more of a we'd be able to look at it with a little bit more credence, right? Because then we could say, okay, well, now there's an actual documented history of this. So now I have more of a reason to believe you, because apparently people found this bad enough to report it. So good news, John. What's up, Jesus Eros? Yeah, I can sympathize, but that doesn't mean I have to necessarily believe them right off the bat. Let's see. A lot of VAs have been threatening and harassing fans for weeks for standing up. Yeah, and the thing is, it's crazy. That's crazy. That lacks a lot of critical thinking. Why would they do something that makes sense? Exactly, right? I guess we're giving them too much credit. This is where Vic was. These videos span over years. See, but the thing is, again, sure, that might be uncomfortable, whispering something in somebody's ear that maybe sounds a little sensual, but again, not a crime. Not a crime. There's been no pictures of any groping of any kind that I've seen. I mean, I haven't seen one out there. No video. People out there claiming that he's making out with underage people in his booth, which to me is crazy. I don't see how any convention that would allow something like that to take place on the convention floor, mind you, would not suffer the repercussions of that. That would get around like wildfire, and especially if there was any kind of video or photo evidence of that. That convention, done. Or at the very least, they would be in damage control for the next however many years they decided to be in existence. So I agree, Ram Jam. Conventions are supposed to be a place to escape, and that's part of the problem, is that too many of these, in this day and age, all the things that we go to escape, whether it be conventions, the movies, video games, all these things are creeping in. Nobody wants them, but they continue to creep in. And it's turning people off. It's making businesses lose money. It's making companies lose fans. For what? All to cater to a very small minority of people that aren't even necessarily committed fans. They're just people that are kind of fans in passing. I whispered in William Shatner's ear he was a jerk. That's hilarious. Try to say him doing coffee line. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. And that's the thing. Look, people are going to perceive. Perception is reality for some people. And some people, they want to perceive the things that Vic has done as as those things. And you know what? Look, it's their right to think however they want to think. But again, just because that's their perception of it doesn't make it reality. It might make it real to them, but again, that doesn't matter. What matters is what's real in the eyes of the law. That's what matters. What's real in the eyes of the law. So Amy Jo Johnson, Austin St. John, Walter Jones came to Chicago, my hometown. That's awesome, bro. I hope you got to meet him. I don't think they thought out their lie. A child was being abused in front of you and you didn't do anything. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Cute nerd. Nail right on the head. Exactly. You're part of the problem. And like I said, I find it very hard to believe that not a single convention staffer would have approached that situation or would have confronted him over that. I mean, I'll put it like this. As a person that was a convention staffer for 6 years, if I knew that a guest at a show that I was at was doing something that inappropriate, you best believe I'm going to confront them. And chances are, if it's very severe like that, if it's something to that degree, I will get the police involved. Because these guests, when they come to the show, they don't get to do whatever they want. That's not why they're at the show. So I'm not going to risk somebody that's at a show that I'm doing. I'm not going to risk them sully the reputation of my brand by doing something illegal and illicit. something that is against the rules. And that's the thing. That's another thing that people don't realize with conventions. When a guest agrees to come to the show, they also agree to adhere to the code of conduct that the convention has. That's another thing that people don't realize. Like, of course, in some cases, I won't lie. There's been instances where some people get a pass when it comes to certain behaviors and things that they do. But typically, any convention worth their weight will not allow for any kind of illegal activity to take place at their show. There's just way too much for them to lose. It's not worth the risk for them. It's not. That's why when I heard, I think somebody online had said that, oh, yeah, this convention made me sign an NDA. That's a lie. No convention is going to have NDA contracts prepared for situations like that. Why? Because they don't anticipate any bad things happening to the point that they feel that they need to cover them up. Now, I will say this, it's not outside of the realm of possibility, because it's not outside the realm of possibility, but it's highly improbable that that happens. There's nothing for a convention to gain by having non-disclosure agreements for their attendees. For their guests, I don't know, maybe, possibly. I mean, like I said, it's within the realm of possibility, although I find it highly unlikely. No convention that I have ever known of has ever done that. I mean, maybe it would have to be a super high-profile convention, and I would think that they would have some kind of mafia ties, or maybe some kind of illegal ties or something, or really have something to hide in order for them to produce some kind of NDA for their attendees. That's insane to me. That just makes makes absolutely no sense to me why any of them would do that. Pulling out of a con is not a cowardly move. You're right. Just some girl. It's not that it's a cowardly move, because it's not. I mean, look, people have their right. They have their reasons, right? They have their reasons, but here's the thing, though. No matter how good your reasons are, especially if it's a moral reason, unfortunately, that is not a reason that you can back out of a contract from. Your morals is not a good enough reason on paper for you to back out of a show, unless the contract itself specifically states that says, hey, if there's anything you feel if there's anything that you feel is not morally correct, you are welcome to back out of our show. Just make sure you do it at such and such time. But usually, look, contracts are very accommodating these days. And at the very least, with some of the bigger shows, they'll give you a lot of leeway. They'll give you a good amount of time to back out for whatever reason. If it's some kind of scheduling conflict, if there's a medical emergency, if there's something that, I don't know, doesn't align with your creed or belief, maybe. I mean, that's rare for certain contracts, but I'm sure that there's some out there. I'm sure that there's some conventions out there that have those kind of stipulations in their contract. If there's some kind of moral or ethical conflict for you, that they'll give you an out. But in the case of Kameha Con, I don't believe that their contracts cover anything like that. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong if I am. All right, take questions from the chat. Dean Domino says, Vic was announced before the scrap storm to go to KC, and these VAs didn't seem to have a problem going then. Well, of course. Well, it's when all the stuff hit the fan. Like I was saying before, it's a lot of moral posturing. It's just trying to stand on a pedestal, get the moral high ground and show that they're good people, that they're taking this moral stand. And here's the thing about that. They have a lot to gain from taking that stand as well. They might miss out on the money that they would have made from Kameha Con, but make no mistake, they stand to gain from taking that moral high ground as well, because that's one of those promissory notes that they could cash in later with their fans. The ones that are super dedicated to them, the ones that can see them doing no wrong, no matter what they say, no matter what they do. A fake, unlicensed, unethical, broke alcoholic. It's for Joe Lugo. That was good. If you make an obligation to the fans, but can't make a real justified reason for it. When people pay to see you, it might not be calorie, but it's just selfish. I don't disagree with you, mind yours. I believe that's a very fair and valid point to make. But again, the flip side of that is that their diehard fans are not going to see it that way. And they're going to support them and say, good for you for taking the moral high ground and standing by your convictions by not going to that show. And that's going to work for them. And again, that's something that they'll be able to cash in on later on down the line. That's going to win them good faith with people that will pay them, that will throw money their way. Yeah, that contract could say that, but why are people speculating when we don't have it? Because it's just something. Look, there's nothing wrong with speculating on things. Again, that's a lot different than saying things definitively. Like I said, the things obviously I don't know what Nick is going to pull out of the hat tonight. I have no idea what Nick is going to pull out tonight. So I'm not speaking as to that. The only thing I've been wanting that I'm speaking about is just so you guys can get an idea of how some of these contracts are and how some of them work and some of the things that are included in that, some of the stipulations. There's people that have been talking about, well, it's possible that there's a no-compete clause, and those things do exist within these types of contracts. No-compete clauses and things like that. And there's also clauses in contracts, like I told Tug, where you cannot promote another appearance in the same city or state as an event that you're going to be attending within a certain time frame, within the same exact dates, if you're canceling the appearance at the show, or if you're still going to be a part of the show until after the show that you are contracted for has concluded. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see. How are these other voice actors going to put together an event somewhere close by, especially if Kameha Con had that particular clause in those contracts, which, again, I haven't seen a Kameha Con contract, so I don't know that they do. But I'm just saying that sometimes conventions will put that kind of clause in their contract. So if Kameha Con is one of those conventions that did put that kind of clause in their contract, whatever event that they're going to do, they won't be able to do in either the city or surrounding areas, or they might not even be able to do it in the state if they decide to set up another event. They might have to do it outside of the state of Texas, especially if they're going to do it on the weekend of Kameha Con. So that'll be interesting to see. Shows that pulling out of cons. What do you think the thoughts of they support? Yeah, Charizard Ranger. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm curious about Nick's show tonight. Yeah, Nick, I'm sure is going. Like I said, Nick is not, and I will say it again. He doesn't have a Kameha Con contract, and there's already people out there trying to say that that's what he's going to reveal as a Kameha Con contract. No. All Nick has said so far is that he has a contract, a convention contract, possibly one of the ones of one of these voice actors in question that has canceled their latest appearance. I'm sure that whatever contract Nick shows tonight, I'm sure there's a pretty good chance that he'll probably redact a lot of the information. So he probably won't even name the person whose contract that he's got a hold of, just for, just to kind of cover his back. Galaxy Red says, Monica sounds like what? Monica sounds like that's what they were doing, though. Maybe. Because I'm sure there are fans who are in the gray area and just want to see them and meet them and may become not interested in them if they do this. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's an upside for them. There's an upside for them. Regardless of what people might think, there's actually an upside for them as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for them. I'm confused here. Is Nick good or bad? No, Nick's a good dude. Charizard Ranger, Nick's a good guy. He's a good guy. Although there are people online that would paint him out to be otherwise, Nick's not a bad dude. Nick's just trying to – Nick always tries to approach things from a very logical standpoint, and he is he mostly talks about it as he sees it, from the side of the law. I mean, That's where he comes at it from. So, yeah, Rekieta Law. That's his channel. Reproved by the GoFundMe from Vic, Jamie, and Jesse. They don't really put their money where their mouth is. They are arguing just for the sake of attention. Well, yeah, you're not wrong. Like I said, look, I think it would speak more volumes to their character if they said, you know what? We don't like this Vic situation that's going on. We don't like the fact that he's coming back. Morally, we definitely are not for it. But because we love you, the fans, we're going to put this aside for the weekend. We're going to put this aside for 3 days for you guys and be there for you guys because you guys paid your hard-earned money for these tickets, and we want to do this for the fans because we care about you guys. We're willing to put our differences aside with Vic for a weekend, even though we don't agree. We don't agree with Kameha Con's decision. We want to do what's right for you guys. Of course, that would still be them virtue signaling to a degree, but the thing is, they would still win a lot of good faith that way because they would show something that a lot of them aren't right now, and that's professionalism. So, cool outsider right now. I've been subbed to you for a long time. I love this crossover. Hey man, I'm glad you're liking the content. I appreciate it. Nick also doesn't suffer from idiots. He's still that's a good one to tell. Like I said, mine, they're just of Vic. Bowser says mine, they're just of Vic and his popularity. Well, look, let's look at Vic, right? Let's look at him for a moment. Very charismatic guy. Seems to know how to connect with this fan base. Ruben said it best when he was here doing the interview. He said that Vic is a guy he actually looks up to. He's like, look, this is a guy that stays well beyond the time he needs to. And let me mention this for a moment. In most standard guest appearance contracts, at minimum, a convention will want you to stay at your table on the convention floor for at minimum 5 hours. Not necessarily, and here's the other thing too. Let me specify even further than that. Not necessarily 5 hours straight, but at the very least, be at your table for 5 hours, whether it be straight on through 5 hours or just intermittent, but at least dedicate a minimum of 5 hours to being at your table for the attendees to be able to meet you. There are so many actors that are just so down with their fans that they go well beyond that minimum. And I'm pretty sure that Vic is one of them. At least according to Ruben, from what I've heard and from what I've seen, because I've been at conventions where he's at, I tend to believe that. But I have no reason to doubt it. It sounds like he is that kind of person that's committed. That I'm pretty sure he dedicates well over 5 hours. And again, it can range from 5 to 7 hours. So again, with different conventions, contracts are different of the minimum they require for you to be out on the convention floor. But at bare minimum, I've yet to see a contract that allows for any less than 5 hours, that you be on the convention floor for any less than 5 hours, whether that be collectively or just straight on through. And like I said, from what it sounds like with Vic sounds like he's a guy that puts in overtime. Dean Domino says, Charizard Ranger, if you want to learn more about this. Yeah, Nick Rekieta's channel, Hero Hay's been following the situation. Hero Hay, That Umbrella Guy, Yellow Flash, Emish is live, Senpai's home. What's the other guys? I want to say SSG Sammy or something like that. Super Saiyan Paul, I believe, even for Neverworld, has covered it to a degree. Yeah, Galaxy Red. Yeah, spot on, man. Spot on. All right. All these voice actors will be replaced. Yeah, you won't be. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. And look, honestly speaking, They probably will. They probably will in some capacity. And if not, I still think the show will do all right. The show is not predicated on just them. There would have to be just a mass cancellation on the part of several more guests in order for it to really affect them. They won't be replaced if people know who are high enough. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I hope the ones that are still going, even the ones that are not necessarily on Vic's side, will look at the bigger picture and say, you know what? I don't like this guy, and I don't agree with the convention necessarily bringing him, but you know what? There's people at this show that want to see me, and I don't want to let them down. So I'm still going to go. I'm still going to go to the show because I want to go for them, because that's what they should do. But again, at the same time, I understand look, people can feel how they want to feel. They can feel that it's not morally right for me to go to the show. I've been there before. I understand. But at the end of the day, I think you could foster a lot more good faith by actually showing up. It'll say a lot more about your character. It'll show that you're looking at a bigger picture and you're saying, you know what, I'm just going to be professional and I'm going to show up to this show that I'm contractually obligated to show up to. People are saying they're going to switch to English. Sunbringer says, Bazette, yeah, I'm mostly going to stick with the English subs from now on. I don't blame you. I think a lot of people are on the same boat. They're saying, yeah, you know what? English subs all the way for me now. There you go. SG Sammy said Galaxy Red. Yeah, he's another one that's covering this too. Okay, let's see. Would people even want to watch Dragon Ball Super now? I mean, there's still fans out there that want to watch all this stuff. So, all right. So just some girl with a mustache says, if hypothetically Vic did sexually harass or come on to, wait, what are you saying? Hold on. It's got sexual harass or come on sexually to girls without their consent, it would be grounds for being fired, right? Not necessarily being jailed. Yeah, depending. Yeah. I mean, if it got back to, depending on what the company's policies are regarding a code of conduct, then yeah, he probably would be fired. That's the thing. There's nothing that he's been accused of that is for lack of a better way to put it, a jailable offense or something that he could be arrested on. He's only been accused of those things, hugging without consent and kissing on the cheek without consent, which unfortunately for these people that are accusing him of that is not a crime. It's not. It'd be a whole lot different if he groped them, if he grabbed them and touched them inappropriately, if he touched their private areas and things like that, then there is grounds, because then that's assault. So, but again, there's people that are trying to claim that now, some people that have probably tried to claim that now, but the problem with that is, again, there's no police reports, there's no formal complaints filed on any of that. So at that point, it's just hearsay. So replace him with Ocean Dub. Okay. People are, Minder says, people are fake. The same people claiming to hate Vic will still go to his panel and get autographs. And I feel even Sean and Sabat knows this. That's why they haven't canceled out yet. Well, that's the thing. Again, they stand to benefit from him being there, even if they don't like him. Even if they don't like him, because he's going to draw money, and him drawing money, that will directly affect them. They will also draw money. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see though, right? Because they've been some of his more vocal detractors. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. DBZ Central says I might be watching the Funimation dub, but exclusively pirate for their sake. There's no real proof of a crime or inappropriate contact of any kind. See, yeah, exactly. Bowsette, there's only been hearsay regarding it. And action doesn't have to be illegal to be fired, though. No, you're right. Just some girl with a mustache, you're right. An action doesn't have to be illegal to be fired, though. Yeah, you're right about that. It doesn't. If there's enough complaints are enough to get people dismissed from a place of employment. especially if they come, you know, in large varieties. So also, this is why I stick to watching the original 3 animes I grew up with, aka Pokemon, Digimon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And it takes a lot for me to watch something non-Pokemon, Digi, or Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't blame you. Don't blame you. Those are the good old days, the innocent days. Amber Terry says, then why is there no evidence? Why didn't they UN report immediately? All this crap is like 5 to 15 years later. BS. Yeah, exactly. If they really wanted to make a difference, why didn't they report it? And again, people that say that they've witnessed him do these bad things, look, I think Lucas said it best when he was on here, when the amazing Lucas was on with me a couple days back with Emish. He said it best. He's like, if you sat there and you watched this happen to a friend of yours or somebody that you know, and you didn't step in to do anything, well then, yeah, I'm looking at you now. Like, we have a problem because you should have stepped up to do something. You should have intervened in some way. Only person still retaining any goodwill from me is Sonny. I think he's the one that's remained kind of quiet about the whole thing, right? Sonny, I believe he's Krillin's actor. I think he's kind of stayed to himself about the whole situation, which is probably that would be the way to go. Just kind of remove yourself from the situation. Again, even if you don't like the person yourself, probably best to just kind of stay quiet, wait till the dust settles, and see what happens. So, is Sean Schimmel there? I don't think he is. I believe that Sean Schimmel, at least, maybe somebody in the chat can confirm, but yeah, I believe he's still there. I believe he's still a part of the show. Yeah, Sunbringer. Yep. You're right about that. Toy Bounty. Okay, J Hoop says, kind of strange as well that these women are also fine hanging around him for over 10 years at the same time. I still remember Monica's kiss emote from the Broly movie picture. Yeah, exactly. So this person wronged you in some way, but yet you still want to be around them. I just don't get that. I would think if you went through some kind of traumatic experience with this person, especially what you're claiming this person did in the case of Monica, where she said, hey, you know, this guy almost assaulted me. Why would you still be friends with that person? I mean, I would think you would do everything you could to avoid that person. You would completely isolate yourself from that person. Anytime you see them walking down this way, you walk down that way. If you're not going to do anything, like, why would you still interact with somebody like that? But more importantly, why wouldn't you take some kind of legal action? But the video hasn't been discussed. I'm not sure which video y'all are talking about. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dicey stuff with all this. A lot. That's what it boils down to. There's not a lot of evidence. There's not a lot of critical thinking going on regarding it. And the thing is, again, and I'll reiterate, it's not that these people can't feel how they want to feel about the situation. You can feel however you want, but just because you feel that way, that's not facts and that's not evidence. That's just the way you feel about it. Perception is reality for some people, and if that's their reality, again, that's on them. But that doesn't mean anything in the eyes of the law. It's what you can prove. So in a court of law, and people that are saying, oh, well, testimony is evidence. And that's true. Testimony is evidence in a court of law under the penalty of perjury. There's no penalty for claiming things online and saying things online. The worst you're going to get is maybe somebody mean tweeting you or saying nasty things to you online. That's it. There's no real world consequences for that. So Amber Terry says, saw it weeks ago. She looks just fine and happy. Vic was her sister's favorite, and she asked for him to film something with her for her sister. DBZ Central. I think voice actors like Kyle Hibbert and Colleen Clickenbeard have remained quiet with the situation, and Kyle still follows Vic on Twitter. Well, you know what? Like I said, here's the problem, right? I'm sure that Vic has a lot more supporters than anyone thinks, especially within the voice acting community, or not just the voice acting community. Let's just say, period, right? Like maybe he knows some actors too that are also in support of him, but they can't bring themselves to say anything because either maybe it's possible that they might not know that it's happening, because this is really happening more within the voice acting community, right? This is happening within the Dragon Ball, Full Metal Alchemist, anime community. It's not something, it's become a little bit mainstream, but not like super mainstream, right? I mean, it's not on like the national news. We don't turn on the TV. We don't turn on, regular media TV, see it on Fox or NBC or CNN or any of those places. So he might know there might be other people that he knows that would stand in support of him that might not even be aware of this, but the ones that are a little bit closer to it that might not have the profile that he does might be afraid to speak up because of the fact that they're not as deeply rooted within this community and are afraid that they're going to get buried as soon as they open their mouths and say something and show any kind of support towards him. They're afraid. And I don't blame them. I don't begrudge them. I wish they would stand up, but I don't begrudge them either, because maybe for them, they just want to see what is going to come out in court. They want to see what evidence comes out. So they have to kind of sit tight. Maybe they want to try to be fair about the situation because maybe they know both parties involved. They're just saying, well, I've known so-and-so for such and such time. I've known Vic for such and such time, but I don't know what to think yet. I have to wait. I have to wait and see. I have to wait and see what evidence comes up before I make my final determination. And there might be people that they already know for a fact, one way or the other, they know for a fact that, hey, look, Vic's a good dude and I stand with him, but they just don't want to say anything because they're just too afraid of how it might affect them, how it might adversely affect them. TLJ Screwjob says, Barbara Dunkelman, RT's community manager, still follows Vic on Twitter, but she also follows Monica and Jamie. So exactly. So she might be one of those people that's on the fence, that she's just like kind of waiting to see what's going to happen either way. Where the pendulum is finally going to stop. All right, take a couple more questions here because I'm going to wrap up the stream soon here because I know Nick is going to go on at, I think Nick's going on, I believe, at 12 tonight, 12 a.m. EST, so that would be 11 p.m. his time. But yeah, look at what happened with Ruben, for example. Ruben's a great example of all this. Ruben came out in public support of Vic. Less than 48 hours later, there was already sites writing smear ads or smear articles on him, trying to bury his career just because he wants to stand in support of his friend, because he believes his friend is innocent until proven guilty. Just his opinion, right? Just his opinion, but already trying to smear him, trying to discredit him by saying, oh, well, he's crazy anyways because he believes these conspiracy theories and things like that. If you guys heard that stream, you could see that Ruben's a very intelligent guy, a very eloquent speaker. He's not crazy. Ruben is not crazy at all. He has his beliefs on things, and there's things that I don't agree with Ruben on necessarily, but he's a friend of mine. But that's the beauty of Ruben. He can agree to disagree with people, even if he doesn't have the same opinion as them, or they have the same opinion as him, I should say. He can agree to disagree and have a civil conversation. And I want to tell you guys something that's very telling here. And Ruben shared this publicly, so this is not me revealing anything that isn't already publicly known. Newsweek put out a hit piece on him regarding what he said, taking the things he said on the stream that me and Flash did with him completely out of context, right? They tried to smear him with it. Wouldn't link my video so that people can actually listen to the bulk of what he was saying to decide for themselves. Wouldn't even link my video but went ahead and spun that narrative that he's some kind of victim blaming, just conspiracy theorist, crazy guy who's an apologist for Vic. That same guy who wrote that article emailed Ruben for a follow-up. And here's the most telling thing. Ruben responded to him and said, tell you what, I'll do an interview with you, but the only thing that I'm not going to talk about with you is the Vic situation. To this day, he has yet to hear a peep back from that guy. So that just goes to show you what that guy was interested in. He said, I'll talk to you about anything else you want. The only thing I won't talk about is the Vic situation. Not a peep from that guy. Not anymore. That was about a week ago at this point. Almost a week ago at this point. Not a peep. Not a peep. TLJ Screwjob says, and like I mentioned on your last stream, all these VAs were fine with Vic back in September, November, and December. But right after Broly, Vic's evil. Yep. Yep. Funny how that works, right? Funny how success brings out vultures. I'm not saying it's necessarily because of that, but it's interesting how those things coincide, right? Definitely a good catalyst, one would say. Okay, Galaxy. Let's see. So let's. Clownfish TV in their latest vid said the same thing and tried to smear. Yeah, I want to talk to Clownfish TV at some point in time too, because they got a pretty raw deal from ANN. Oh, interesting thing about ANN too. They were one of the ones that tried to reach out to Ruben too after the fact. They tried to reach out to Ruben as well. That's the only thing I won't say who. I won't say who. I won't say who from there, because I know exactly who from ANN tried to reach out to Ruben after the fact too. But I'm going to tell, I said this before on another stream, I'll say it again. Ruben is not going to talk to any of y'all because he already knows what you guys are trying to do. He knows how you all are trying to smear him. He's not going to talk to you guys. He's not going to talk to you guys because he's already seen that you guys are not going to give him a fair shake. So, Dean Domino, I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I can neither confirm nor deny what you're saying there. I will say it is somebody from ANN that you guys know that is publicly, that has made their presence known out in the public sphere. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to name the person specifically because, again, but I will say, the only thing I will say is that it is someone from ANN, somebody with a profile from that site that is publicly known. That's all I'm going to say. Miss Close says, Toy Bounty Hunters, how much do you want to bet that K-Con, the one or a few of the Kick Vickers, will start trouble? I hope not. I honestly hope not. I don't want there to be any kind of trouble at any of these conventions. And I would think that, honestly, look, rational people are going to go to these shows and they're going to enjoy the people that they want to see at these shows without causing any kind of trouble. Even the people that might be upset with Monica, that might not like the things that Monica had to do, I would like to think that, and maybe I don't want to speak for everybody in this chat, but I would like to think that we could all agree to this, right? That if any of us went to Kameha Con and Monica was there, Sean was there, whoever else, all the people that were detractors of Vic were there, that we would be professional enough, or I should say civil enough, because it's up to them to be professional, but be civil enough to not cause any trouble with them, not say anything to them, not give them nasty stares or throw them the finger when we pass by or anything like that, that we'd be like, just kind of whatever, just act civilly around them. Because that's the thing. You can still be civil around somebody that you don't like, don't get along with, or care about, or you could just avoid them entirely the entire weekend and not cause trouble and just enjoy the fact that you're there for the people that you're there for, whether it be your friends that you're meeting up there, or you're there for Vic, or you're there for some other voice actors. Know that you could still be civil and just enjoy the con for what it is, which is a celebration of Dragon Ball, which is the entire point. Okay, see, Darkman Jeff. Yeah, man, you made it, buddy. I know that you always end up missing the streams. I'm glad you were able to make it this time. Yep, you're right, Bowsette. Funny how everything was good until then. Dean Domino says Chuck Huber might be with Vic. Vic and him are still on good terms, according to Vic in one of his live streams. I hope so, and I hope that more people come out publicly. Like I said, Ruben is not going to back down. He's not going to withdraw his support of Vic just because a couple of people got mad over the fact that he supports him. That's his friend. He stands by his friend. He stands by the things he said. I'm glad that Todd stands by Vic and stands by the things that he said. And I hope that that encourages others that might be waiting, kind of waiting in the wings there, waiting in the wind to come out and say, I support Vic too. But one can only hope, right? J-Hoop says, yep, even if you're neutral, I'm waiting for evidence. Yeah, that's insane, because Clownfish TV, they're one of the most neutral channels out there, you know, and they're always, none of the stuff they ever put out that I've seen has ever been in any kind of bad faith, but they always get a raw deal from people, man, and it's not right. All right. Let's see what other questions you got. Clownfish banned from a few cons. Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that ANN got them banned from a few cons. I'm gonna have to reach out to them, because I would like to talk to them about that, because that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous if they got them banned from a few conventions. And Resetter was canceled back in 2016. Yeah. Statute of limitation be changed. Would be corresponding. Such that should be socially. Saradinian, I would say that would be more of a question for Rakeda. Rakeda would be the one to ask that to. Does anyone know if Toy actually has gotten a lawyer? I believe he did. Dave Marks, I believe he did confirm that he does have a lawyer now. He put that out there, so he is being represented. He finally took Nick's advice and he got himself a lawyer. What are the chances that K-Vaders might intentionally start something at Kameha Con to try to smear people standing with Vic? I doubt it. I doubt it. Because here's the thing. A lot of these people that get upset online, they're usually more bark than bite. You know, they'll get angry and they'll type angrily behind their keyboard or behind their phone on Twitter, but when they're actually somewhere, they usually don't do anything. And honestly, it wouldn't be in their best interest to do that either, because a lot of times, especially if they're planning something, chances are they'll probably try to organize it online. Somebody's going to find out, and the con's going to be prepared for them anyways, if they try to do anything like that. And truthfully, when it comes down to it and it's time to do something, they probably won't do nothing. They'll probably say, yeah, there's going to be a group of 50 or 60 of us assembling, and maybe 2 of them show up. And they decide, it's not worth it. Let's just enjoy the show and just ignore the people that we don't want to see here. And like I said, it wouldn't benefit them in the long run to do that either, because they would be banned. They could potentially face some legal repercussions for that. It's dumb. Vic's attorney will be with him at Kameha Con, so I will think it will be fine. Yeah. I know that Ty Beard said he's going to be with him at Kameha Con, so that would be great. It would be dumb to go to a con if you spend a lot of money just to get kicked out. Exactly. That's the other thing too, right? Why would you do that? Why would you you would pay for a ticket to attend a show that you're upset with to protest the show. And then chances are that you would be not only banned from that show, probably for life. You you would be banned from the show. You lose your money. You potentially face legal repercussions. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And even they know that it's not, and they wouldn't. They would just say, forget about it. It's just not worth it. Their so-called conviction, it has a price tag, despite what they would have you believe. Bowsette, I mean, maybe a small group, but again, even then, not worth it. Yeah, Dean Domino, you're absolutely right about puff pieces and hit pieces. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to take a couple more questions from y'all. So I guess I'll go till 10, and then we'll wrap it up. All right. That's what the other VAs are scared. A&M did get them banned from a few cons, and that's what other VAs are scared of. Man, I want to talk to them about that, mind yours. I definitely would want to talk to them about that, because that's crazy, man. Patty Murphy, I hope no one brings in a gun like the guy who tried to kill JDF a few years ago. Yeah. No, that was an extreme case, Patty Murphy, and that guy obviously was mentally unstable. And, I'm not a fan of JDF too much. I don't hate the guy, but I would never wish for his life or his livelihood to be threatened by anything. And that to me is, like I said, I would be civil towards the guy. I mean, the one thing that can be said about the guy is that he knows how to placate to his fans, and he doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that for all he might do and all the dumb things he's done before. He doesn't deserve to have his life threatened or his livelihood threatened. So, all right. Let me see. I'm trying to catch up on all the questions here that I'm seeing here, guys. So just bear with me. All right. So how come none of the VAs ever came forward before now? It's covered up by their own. Doesn't make them any better. I think what it is, Amber Terry, is that I think they saw an opportunity. I think it's a thing that I think there's a couple factors, right? I think jealousy plays a factor in it. I think there might have been some unresolved issues that some of these VAs might have had with them, and they just found an opportunity to just kind of dogpile. They saw an in. They saw that, okay, things he's done have bothered me for quite some time, so I'm going to go ahead and jump on this bandwagon. Or maybe they felt pressure from others to jump on that bandwagon. The adult world and high school, it's not too different sometimes, right? Especially if somebody didn't leave that high school mentality. So, Galaxy Red asks, are you Eastern, Toy Bounty Hunters? Yes, I am. Eastern Standard Time. What are your thoughts on PMC Express, and are you going to PMC 2020? I think PMC Express is, in the grander scheme of things, I think it's going to go the way of Wizard World. I don't think it's a sustainable format. That's just my opinion. I think it might be around for a few years, but I don't see that as a sustainable format for a convention. Traveling conventions, especially when they have to go every other year or every year to a different venue in a different market, especially ones that they haven't been into before, is a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong, though. They might be hugely successful and they might do great, but I don't think so. I think in the long run, it's not a sustainable format for a convention. Dave Marks asks, at Toy Banner, do you think that Monica being outside convention security could pull a Jesse Smollett move? You never know. You never know, right? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? I wouldn't put it past anybody. I wouldn't put it past her. Anthony White, take it to the Supreme Court. Sue that it violated First Amendment rights and right to protest. See them bleed money. That's what Anthony White said. Okay. I call the I call it the Smollett effect. That's funny. Okay, so do you think that Hasbro, if they get IDW to do Power Rangers comics, will continue stories where Boom Studios left off, or just reboot the setting Boom set up? I don't know. I mean, I would think they probably would start their own continuity, I would think, if they were to get the license. The current bar for harassment is set really low as well. Yeah, you're not wrong, Amber Terry. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think you have a pretty good point there. As of now, Vic, it's a matter of he said, she said, and rumors on the grapevine. I've seen many of the accusations and found them lacking. Context matters. Yeah, I agree. Saradinian, I hope I said your name right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Vic, oh, this is good with Joking Juggernaut here. Victimhood is profitable in current year. Absolutely. Absolutely. It sure is. Ask Anita Sarkeesian. Ask Anita Sarkeesian. She is banking it. Ask anybody that has been able to successfully weaponize it. Okay, Henshin Time needs a continuation or an update. Are we gonna get it? Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna end up doing the next part of Henshin Time. Okay. Yep, Amber, if you breathe them, you scream harass. Yep, Bowsette, you're right. Okay. Patty Murphy here. Okay. Stating facts and harassment to them. As I said, infuriates me as I have 3 sons. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and wrap up here in just a little bit. Get any questions you have in. If you guys have any questions about things on the convention scene, excuse me. If you have any questions on things from the convention side, like I said, Nick Rekieta, for those of you that don't know, that may not know, Nick Rekieta will be talking about a contract that he was able to get his hands on later on in his stream. Again, not a contract from Kameha Con, but a contract nonetheless that he will be going over. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And his stream, I believe, starts at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, which would be 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for those of you that are here on the east side. Okay, well, I will go ahead and wrap the stream now, because I think we've covered a lot at this point. I hope I was able to flesh out a little bit some of the things that I wanted to address here regarding conventions and some of the contracts conventions have. I want to thank ThatUmbrellaGuy for popping in for a little bit. For those of you that aren't subscribed to his channel, be sure to check him out, ThatUmbrellaGuy. And for those of you that are wanting to check out Nick Rekieta's stream, Rekieta Law, be sure to check out his stream later on tonight, where he'll go into a little bit more detail. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. For those of you that came over from Tug Stream, appreciate you guys being here. I will, when I get back, I'm going to be gone for about a week, but when I get back, I hope to do a couple more streams where we could talk about things from a convention perspective as well as other things. So I appreciate you guys being here. And again, I'm glad to answer any questions that I could. And we'll talk more again here in the near future. Thanks again for being a part of the stream, and we'll see you on the next one. You guys have a good night, and I think I will be seeing you guys on Rekieta's stream, at least in the chat. If he somehow manages to invite me, great, but I'll definitely be in the chat with you guys. So I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care.